Welcome to a journey back to April 10th, 1912. Tonight, you aren't just listening to history, you are living it. You are a passenger on the RMS Titanic, feeling the velvet of the chairs and the chill of the Atlantic air. Before we step onto the ship of dreams, please subscribe and hit the like button to join our community of time travelers. Now, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the modern world fade away. Your stateroom is waiting. You stand at the edge of the pier in Southampton. The sheer scale of the hull before you is enough to take your breath away. A colossal wall of polished black steel, it rises like a mountain from the harbour waters, reflecting the morning sun in a way that imbues the ship with an almost divine grandeur. You feel the profound vibration of the earth beneath your boots as thousands of people stir around you. The frantic energy of coal trimmers, the elegant laughter of aristocrats, and the tearful goodbyes of families embarking upon new lives. As you present your ticket to the uniformed officer, the crisp paper crinkles delicately between your fingers, a golden key unlocking access to this majestic, floating palace. You ascend the gangplank, and with each deliberate step, the cacophony of the bustling city begins to recede, gradually replaced by the harmonious humming vitality of humanity's greatest maritime achievement. Stepping inside is akin to entering a meticulously crafted dream of mahogany and silk. The air carries the delicate fragrance of fresh white lilies, hints of expensive cigar tobacco, and the faint, pristine aroma of newly polished floor wax. You instinctively gravitate towards the grand staircase, and for a fleeting moment, you simply stand in rapt awe. Your gaze ascends to the ornate glass dome above, where the midday sun cascades through, bathing the polished oak carvings and the bronze cherub clutching a torch of illumination in a celestial glow. Your hand glides reverently over the banister, tracing the intricate curves of the wrought iron, cool and reassuringly solid. You discern the distant, melodic tuning of a violin, the ship's orchestra preparing for the impending afternoon tea, its gentle notes echoing softly against the lofty ceilings, intertwining with the muffled clinking of fine bone china emanating from the nearby dining saloon. You locate your stateroom, and as the heavy wooden door softly clicks shut, a profound sense of tranquil peace envelops you. The room is a sanctuary of Edwardian luxury, exuding an air of understated elegance. You recline gently on the edge of the bed, feeling the incredible softness of the Egyptian cotton sheets and the subtle, yielding give of the horsehair mattress, meticulously designed for ultimate repose. The ship commences its majestic journey, yet you perceive no jarring engine start. Instead, it is a subtle, rhythmic pulsation deep within the floorboards, a powerful heartbeat generated by the colossal triple-expansion steam engines, a reassuring testament to the vessel's indomitable power. You peer through the brass-rimmed porthole and observe the English coastline steadily diminishing into a slender green ribbon on the horizon. The waters of the English Channel, a deep, vibrant turquoise, churn into a frothy white wake as the massive propellers powerfully engage the sea. You dedicate the afternoon to an unhurried exploration of the ship's intricate labyrinth of corridors. Your leather-soled shoes emit a soft thud, thud on the plush Axminster carpets that effectively absorb every sound, fostering an atmosphere of hushed, expensive serenity. You pass by the gymnasium, catching the faint, rhythmic whirring of the mechanical rowing machines, and then the Turkish baths, where the air grows warm and heavy with the soothing scents of eucalyptus and exotic spices. In the first-class lounge, you surrender to the embrace of a deep emerald green velvet armchair. The fabric feels cool and luxurious against your skin, and as you lean back, you observe the playful dance of light through the myriad crystal chandeliers, creating a kaleidoscope of tiny rainbows on the rich wood-paneled walls. You are surrounded by the world's elite, yet a shared sense of profound awe unites everyone. There is a palpable, collective conviction that here, on this magnificent deck, humanity has definitively triumphed over the formidable ocean. As evening gracefully approaches, the sky transforms into a breathtaking canvas of deep purple and burning orange hues. You step onto the promenade deck, where the invigorating wind has intensified, carrying with it the sharp, clean scent of the open salt spray. It is a brisk wind, but it feels wonderfully cleansing, purifying your lungs of the lingering city soot you left behind. You witness the sun dip majestically below the distant horizon, and for an ephemeral split second, a verdant flash illuminates the sky before the world gracefully succumbs to twilight's embrace. The ship's myriad lights flicker to life, thousands of incandescent bulbs glowing with a warm, inviting amber hue that transforms the Titanic into a mesmerizing, floating constellation against the deepening nocturnal sea. You hear the deep, resonant boom of the ship's powerful whistle, 3 colossal blasts that reverberate through your very chest, a proud declaration to the vast emptiness of the Atlantic that the undisputed queen of the ocean has majestically arrived. Back within the ship's opulent confines, the dinner chime rings, a musical, silvery tone that drifts melodiously through the hushed hallways. You enter the grand dining saloon, where the tables are meticulously set with a precision that borders on artistry. The polished silver cutlery gleams under the radiant lights, and the glassware emits a delicate clinking sound like tiny bells as the ship rolls ever so subtly. You savor the exquisite richness of the consommé Olga, the delicate saltiness of the fresh oysters, and the delightful sweetness of the chocolate eclairs, each flavor intensified by the surreal awareness that you are propelling at 21 knots across a 3-mile deep, fathomless abyss. After dinner, you seek refuge in the intimate smoking room, where the walls are intricately inlaid with shimmering mother-of-pearl. The gentle crackle of the fireplace, a genuine coal fire burning in the heart of the ocean, provides a comforting counterpoint to the escalating chill outside. You retreat to the solace of your cabin as the night deepens. The ship is noticeably quieter now. The earlier, exuberant energy of the departure has settled into a gentle, rhythmic, and incredibly lulling vibration. You change into your luxurious silk pajamas, the fabric gliding smoothly over your skin. You extinguish the lamp, and the room is softly illuminated by the serene, blue glow of the moonlight filtering through the porthole. You recline, closing your eyes, and surrender to the soothing symphony of the ship, the faint, occasional creaking of the seasoned wood as the colossal hull subtly flexes against the gentle caress of the waves, the distant, almost imperceptible hum of the sophisticated ventilation system, and the steady, hypnotic shush-shush of the vast ocean waters rushing past the formidable steel plates mere inches from your head. You feel profoundly safe. You feel exquisitely cocooned within this unparalleled marvel of human engineering. You drift effortlessly into a deep, dreamless slumber, gently cradled by the rhythmic swaying of the largest ship in the entire world, utterly oblivious to the silent, white giant patiently awaiting its fateful encounter in the path ahead. The next morning dawns clear and bright, a pristine expanse of cerulean sky meeting an equally vast, sparkling ocean. You awaken slowly, feeling utterly refreshed, the gentle rocking of the ship now a familiar, comforting presence rather than a novelty. The scent of freshly brewed coffee and warm pastries drifts enticingly into your cabin, a delightful invitation to begin the day. You head to the magnificent à la carte restaurant, choosing a window seat where the sun streams in, making the polished brass fittings gleam with an almost blinding intensity. The conversation around you is hushed, a tapestry of polite murmurs and soft laughter, punctuated by the delicate clinking of silver against porcelain. You sip your orange juice, feeling its refreshing chill, and savor the buttery flakes of a croissant, enjoying the quiet luxury of the moment. The sheer expanse of the ocean stretches out endlessly beyond the pane, a mesmerizing panorama of deep blues and greens, dotted only by the occasional seabird soaring gracefully on the updrafts. After breakfast, you find yourself drawn to the library, a haven of hushed tranquility. The air is redolent with the earthy scent of aged paper and fine leather bindings, creating an atmosphere conducive to quiet contemplation. You select a leather-bound volume of classic poetry, its pages crisp and cool beneath your fingertips. Settling into a deep, plush armchair beside a large window, you watch the endless procession of waves, each one a fleeting masterpiece of white foam against the cobalt canvas. The only sounds are the rustle of turning pages, the distant, almost imperceptible thrum of the ship's engines, and the faint, rhythmic tap-tap of a typewriter from a nearby writing room. It's a place where time seems to slow, where the hurried pace of the modern world has no dominion, replaced by the timeless rhythm of the sea and the printed word. Later, you make your way to the Veranda Cafe, a charming, light-filled space designed to evoke a rustic English garden. Sunlight floods through the glass walls, warming your face, and the scent of potted plants mixes with the delicate aroma of afternoon tea. You order a cup of Earl Grey, the fragrant steam rising gently to tickle your nostrils, and a delicate scone with clotted cream and strawberry jam. The gentle breeze that drifts through the open windows is refreshingly cool, carrying with it the pure, invigorating essence of the open sea. You watch other passengers, some playing cards, others engaged in quiet conversation, all sharing in this shared bubble of serene elegance, completely isolated from the worries of the world beyond the ship's opulent confines. The distant, repetitive splash of a bucket being lowered and raised signals that the deckhands are diligently scrubbing the decks, a mundane, yet oddly comforting sound that underscores the ship's continuous, tireless operation. The afternoon calls for a visit to the swimming pool, a marvel of engineering for its time. Descending a flight of stairs, you enter a humid, warm environment, the air heavy with the clean, chemical scent of chlorine. The water in the pool itself, a vibrant, inviting blue, glistens under the soft electric lights, gently swaying with the ship's motion. You dip your hand into the temperate water, feeling its silky smoothness against your skin, a stark contrast to the icy vastness of the Atlantic just beyond the hull. The hushed echoes of voices from the Turkish baths nearby occasionally reach your ears, creating a sense of shared, peaceful luxury. After a refreshing swim, you emerge feeling invigorated, a deep sense of well-being settling over you, a testament to the comprehensive amenities of this floating city. As the second evening descends, the sky transforms into a deeper, more profound velvet black, studded with an astonishing array of brilliant stars, each one a tiny, distant diamond against the cosmic backdrop. The ship continues its unwavering course, cutting through the calm waters with an almost silent grace. You find yourself on the boat deck, wrapped in a warm wool cloak, gazing upwards. The air is noticeably colder than the previous night, carrying a distinct, crisp edge that hints at unseen expanses of ice. You can almost taste the sharp chill on your tongue. Yet, despite the cold, there is a profound stillness, a deep quiet that allows you to hear the subtle whispers of the wind as it brushes past the rigging, a low, melancholic sigh. The only other sound is the steady, rhythmic wash of the waves against the hull, a ceaseless, hypnotic murmur that promises an endless journey. You feel utterly insignificant, yet utterly connected to the vastness around you, a tiny speck of humanity on a magnificent vessel, traversing an immense, ancient ocean. A profound sense of peace, an almost spiritual calm, envelops you as you drift towards another night of serene slumber, utterly convinced of the Titanic's unshakable strength. The tranquility of the previous day gives way to a colder, more ominous atmosphere as the third night descends. The air, already crisp, now holds a sharper, biting edge, carrying with it an almost imperceptible scent of extreme cold, a metallic tang that pricks at your nostrils. You find yourself drawn to the promenade deck again, unable to resist the allure of the vast, starlit expanse. The moonlight is absent tonight, leaving the sea in a profound, inky blackness that stretches endlessly to the horizon. The stars, however, are breathtakingly brilliant, like scattered jewels strewn across a velvet cloth, appearing closer and more numerous than you have ever witnessed. Each distant pinprick of light seems to burn with an ethereal intensity, reflecting dimly on the almost mirror-smooth surface of the ocean. There is an eerie, unnatural calm to the sea tonight. No waves crash against the hull with their usual rhythmic murmur. Instead, the water slides past with an almost unnatural silence, a liquid velvet caress that is unsettling in its quietude. The ship seems to glide effortlessly, a silent giant cutting through an equally silent world. You shiver, a sensation that goes beyond the superficial chill of the air, an intuitive prickle that whispers of something vast and unyielding lurking just beyond your sight. The distant hum of the engines, usually a comforting throb, now feels more remote, almost muffled, as if the ship itself is holding its breath. You pull your thick woolen scarf tighter around your neck, feeling the coarse texture of the wool against your chin, its warmth a small comfort against the encroaching cold. Inside, the grand saloons are quieter than usual. Many passengers have retired early, perhaps sensing the unusual chill or simply seeking the warmth of their cabins. The orchestra, in the first-class lounge, continues to play its repertoire of lively waltzes and sentimental ballads, but even their music seems to carry a subtle, underlying melancholy tonight. The notes drift through the nearly empty space, echoing against the wood paneling with a haunting beauty. You observe a lone couple dancing slowly, their movements fluid and graceful, oblivious to the profound shift in the atmosphere outside. The clinking of an ice cube in a glass, dropped by a passing steward, sounds unusually sharp in the hushed environment, a stark punctuation in the tapestry of soft sounds. You eventually make your way back to your stateroom, the long, carpeted corridors feeling even more expansive and quiet. The brass lanterns cast long, dancing shadows on the walls as the ship imperceptibly maintains its speed. You prepare for bed, the cool linen sheets feeling particularly refreshing against your skin in the oddly warm cabin. You switch off the final lamp, plunging the room into near darkness, save for the faint glow filtering from the porthole, a soft, ethereal blue that outlines the heavy curtains. You settle down, listening to the almost imperceptible hum of the ventilation system, a constant, low drone that is typically soothing. But tonight, it feels different. It seems to carry a subtle tension, an anticipation of something unknown. You drift towards the edge of sleep, a strange, indefinable unease tugging at the corners of your subconscious, a faint whisper of an impending change in the grand design. Suddenly, a profound sensation reverberates through the entire ship. It is not a violent crash, nor a jarring explosion, but rather a deep, grinding shudder, a prolonged, scraping sound that travels from bow to stern like a giant hand dragging across a vast blackboard. The bed beneath you lurches slightly, a gentle yet unmistakable movement that pulls you instantly from the cusp of slumber. You feel the sharp tremor travel up through the floor, a vibration that feels utterly alien to the smooth, steady motion you've grown accustomed to. There is a distinct, metallic groan, a sound of immense steel being abraded by something equally immense and unyielding. The hum of the ventilation system seems to falter for a split second, then resumes, but with a subtly altered pitch, a note of discord. A silence follows the shudder, a silence far more unsettling than any noise. It is an immediate, profound absence of sound, as if the entire ship has held its breath, frozen in disbelief. Then, a distant, muffled clinking of glassware from somewhere far below reaches your ears, quickly followed by the distinct sound of footsteps, first a few, then many, rushing through the corridor outside your door. The hushed whispers begin, a ripple of low, questioning voices that grow steadily louder. What was that? Did you feel it? Is everything all right? You rise from your bed, feeling a sudden, inexplicable coldness creeping into the room, despite the earlier warmth. You approach the porthole, peering out into the absolute darkness, but there is nothing to see but the impenetrable blackness of the ocean, now eerily still, with no visible disturbance. A knot of apprehension begins to tighten in your stomach, a chilling premonition that the invincible dream has just encountered something it cannot conquer. The rhythmic pulse of the engines, once a heartbeat of security, now feels like a countdown to an unknown, terrifying fate.
The hushed whispers in the corridor intensify, transforming into a low hum of anxious queries as more passengers emerge from their cabins, their faces etched with confusion and a nascent fear. You open your stateroom door, stepping into the now brightly lit passage, where the electric lights seem to burn with an almost harsh, artificial brilliance against the backdrop of growing uncertainty. The air itself feels charged, thick with unspoken questions and a palpable tension that seems to vibrate through the very structure of the ship. A faint, persistent ringing sound begins to emanate from somewhere deep within the hull, a distant, metallic clanging that hints at damage below the waterline, a mournful bell tolling for an unseen wound. You overhear a steward, his voice unusually strained, reassuring a distraught woman that "Everything is perfectly fine, madam, just a minor incident." Yet his eyes betray a profound and desperate lack of conviction. An order begins to filter through the corridors, passed from steward to steward in hushed, urgent tones. "All passengers to the boat deck. Please proceed to the boat deck." The words, though delivered calmly, carry an undeniable weight of authority and unspoken urgency, prompting a slow but steady flow of people towards the upper decks. You join the procession, feeling the subtle, almost imperceptible tilt of the deck beneath your feet, a gentle list that was not present moments before. It is a sensation that sends a cold shiver down your spine, a physical confirmation that the ship is no longer level, no longer truly afloat in its accustomed manner. The temperature in the corridors seems to drop noticeably, a creeping chill that permeates the air, carrying with it the faint, sharp smell of cold, damp metal, and perhaps something else, something acrid and metallic, like burnt wiring or escaping steam. Reaching the boat deck, the scene is one of surreal tranquility, mingled with a deepening sense of dread. The vast expanse of the black ocean stretches out, utterly devoid of moonlight, the brilliant stars now seeming to mock the unfolding drama below with their cold, indifferent sparkle. The lifeboats hang menacingly from their davits, like dark, ominous shadows against the starlit sky, their wooden planks gleaming dully in the scattered electric light. The crew, moving with a practiced, yet visibly strained efficiency, are struggling to untangle the ropes, their commands sharp and precise, cutting through the murmurs of the growing crowd. You hear the heavy thud of a boat being lowered, a sound that resonates through the deck, a stark, undeniable confirmation of the gravity of the situation. The cold night air bites at your exposed skin, and you can see your breath misting visibly as you exhale, tiny clouds disappearing into the vast, indifferent darkness. The ship's orchestra, in a remarkable act of courage and defiance, begins to play. Their music, initially a lively ragtime tune, soon shifts to more solemn, traditional hymns, their notes drifting across the deck and out over the vast, empty ocean. It's a haunting, poignant melody that somehow manages to both soothe and amplify the fear in the air. You hear the melancholic strains of "Nearer, my God, to thee," weaving through the commotion, a beautiful yet utterly heartbreaking soundtrack to the unfolding tragedy. The sound of the violin's high notes seems to tremble in the cold air, each note a tear shed for what is being lost. The voices of the passengers, once murmuring, become quieter, many listening in stunned, reverent silence to the music, finding a strange comfort in its familiarity amidst the terrifying unknown. The tilt of the ship becomes more pronounced, a steady, inexorable incline towards the bow. You can now feel the floor sloping distinctly beneath your feet, making it slightly harder to maintain your balance. The electric lights, once bright, begin to flicker intermittently, plunging sections of the deck into momentary darkness before regaining their defiant glow, a flickering struggle against an unseen force. Below, in the lower decks, you can distinctly hear the ominous, unceasing roar of the ocean water as it floods the compartments, a deep, guttural sound that vibrates through the very soles of your feet. It is the sound of the ocean claiming its prize, slowly, methodically, relentlessly. The scent of salt and dampness grows stronger, mingling with a faint, acrid smell of ozone and overstressed machinery, a smell of impending doom. A sense of eerie calm seems to settle over some of the passengers, a quiet resignation that replaces the earlier panic. You observe a group of men in tuxedos, still impeccably dressed, standing together, calmly smoking cigars and conversing in low tones, their faces masks of dignified acceptance. Women, clutching their children tightly, gaze out at the dark, unforgiving expanse of the ocean, their expressions a mixture of terror and numb disbelief. The lifeboats, now partially filled, are being lowered into the frigid black water, their occupants a mixture of relief and profound sorrow. You hear the splash as each boat meets the water, a sound that resonates with finality. The gentle bobbing of the boats on the surface looks incredibly small, fragile, and utterly alone against the immense, dark hull of the Titanic, a stark visual metaphor for the impending fate. The cold tightens its grip, seeping into your bones, and you know, with a chilling certainty, that the ship, once the epitome of human triumph, is slowly, inevitably, surrendering to the vast, cold embrace of the Atlantic.
The list of the ship becomes drastically steeper, forcing you to brace yourself against a solid railing, your fingers clenching the cold metal with desperate intensity to prevent yourself from sliding towards the unseen chasm of the frigid water. The scene around you has morphed into a waking nightmare, a stark tableau of unimaginable terror. The defiant electric lights, which moments ago fought to maintain their brilliance, now begin to falter, flickering weakly and hesitantly, like the final struggling breaths of a dying giant. A horrifying, visceral sound of twisting, tearing steel emanates from directly beneath your feet, an agonizing, guttural shriek unlike anything you have ever heard before, as if the very spine of the immense vessel is fracturing under an unbearable strain. You glance towards the bow, and a cold dread seizes you as you witness the icy waters of the Atlantic greedily engulfing the main deck, silently and relentlessly creeping through the grand doorways and elegant portholes. The sickening crash of massive panes of glass shattering under the colossal pressure of the invading sea pierces the air. A powerful, overwhelming scent of the raw, untamed ocean now dominates everything, its briny sharpness mingling disturbingly with the acrid, metallic tang of burning electrical circuits. Your eyes are drawn to the ship's orchestra, who, with an almost supernatural calm, continue to play their solemn tune on the now dangerously angled deck. The melancholic notes of "Nearer, my God, to Thee" echo through the frigid open air, imbuing the horrifying spectacle with an almost sacred, terrifying reverence that freezes the tears in your eyes. You lift your gaze upwards, observing the colossal funnels, once proud symbols of power, now tilting at impossible, precarious angles, threatening to topple down upon you at any given moment.
Suddenly, without warning, the remaining lights extinguish completely, plunging the entire world into an absolute, impenetrable blackness. The only illumination comes from the distant, indifferent stars, which now seem to shine with a cold, mocking brilliance. A deafening explosion then rips through the air, vibrating through your entire being, the cataclysmic sound of the massive steam boilers erupting as they make contact with the invading, icy water. The stern of the ship then begins its terrifying, slow ascent into the sky, rising gradually until it stands almost perfectly vertical against the starlit heavens, a colossal monument defying its own impending doom. You watch in paralyzed horror as hundreds of people desperately cling to the iron railings at that dizzying height, while countless others lose their grip and slide inexorably towards the waiting, dark abyss of the water below. A chorus of desperate screams and heart-wrenching pleas for help rises from the darkness, only to be swallowed by the vast, uncaring expanse of the ocean.
You find yourself standing at the precipice of an unimaginable truth, understanding with chilling certainty that this colossal mountain of steel is now poised to descend. A deafening, rending roar tears through the night as the ship's mighty hull finally ruptures catastrophically in the middle, sending massive fragments of twisted steel flying in every direction. The Titanic loses its last vestige of balance, beginning its final, terrifying plunge towards the depths. You feel yourself being violently propelled towards the waiting water, which from a distance appeared like black, viscous oil, but whose touch, upon impact, is an agonizing, electric shock that seizes every muscle in your body. An instant, overwhelming coldness pierces your very heart, stealing the air from your lungs and momentarily stopping your breath. You instinctively fight to swim away from the colossal vortex generated by the sinking behemoth. You glance back, and in that agonizing moment, you witness the very last section of the Titanic slowly, serenely disappearing beneath the water's surface, a hauntingly peaceful descent, as if the ocean has finally closed its immense jaws upon its prey. Nothing remains but vast, swirling bubbles of air, rising silently from the abyssal depths to burst soundlessly on the now serene, black surface. You find yourself utterly alone, floating in the profound darkness, surrounded by hundreds of struggling bodies, their collective groans and cries for help, filling the space like a chilling, human requiem. You gaze up at the distant, indifferent stars, silently pleading with every fiber of your being, as you feel your limbs slowly succumb to the paralyzing cold, losing all sensation of time and space. Nothing remains but the desperate rasp of your own breathing and the soft, relentless lapping of the water against your face. You begin to surrender to the overwhelming silence that gradually descends as the sounds of struggle diminish and movements cease, as if the entire world has ended in this forgotten expanse of the ocean. You close your eyes, half-lidded, and as the stars begin to dance before your fading vision, you conjure images of the sun's warmth and the distant, solid land, as the merciless, white tranquility of death begins to envelop you.
You now find yourself suspended between two worlds. Your body, no longer truly yours, floats precariously upon the glacial waters of the Atlantic, while your spirit slowly, inevitably, begins its retreat towards an absolute stillness. Here, pain has no dominion, and the biting cold loses its searing touch, replaced instead by a delicious numbness that gently embraces your entire being, as if you are sinking into a downy bed of soft, silent snow. You cast your gaze skyward, observing that the stars are no longer mere distant points of light. They appear to be dangling, almost within reach, as if poised to grasp you and lift you from the profound darkness that has consumed everything. In your ears, an immense silence reigns, broken only by the slow, profound rhythm of your own heartbeat, now a solemn, deliberate drumbeat, like an ancient clock tolling in a deserted palace. In this pervasive stillness, your mind conjures images, the soft murmur of waves gently caressing a warm, sandy beach, the delicate scent of jasmine, the comforting aroma of freshly baked bread, cherished memories leaping from the depths of your consciousness, valiantly resisting the encroaching notion of oblivion. Suddenly, amidst this beautiful surrender, a piercing light cleaves the silent night. It is neither the sparkle of a star nor a fleeting phantom, but a potent, oscillating beam that slices through the profound darkness on the distant horizon, a sword of pure illumination. You struggle to pry open your ice-laden eyelids, your gaze fixed upon this light as it steadily grows, expanding and drawing nearer. A faint, distant sound then reaches your ears, a distinctly human noise that tears through the stillness, followed by the unmistakable, mournful blast of another ship's horn, a vessel arriving from the world of the living. It is the RMS Carpathia, diligently carving its path through the icy expanse to reach you. You begin to perceive the silhouette of a colossal ship emerging from the swirling fog and oppressive darkness, an angel of steel materializing from the void. You hear the rhythmic splash of oars striking the water nearby, a lifeboat rapidly approaching, and the urgent,
disembodied shouts of men calling out into the deep gloom. Is anyone still alive? Is there anyone out there? You attempt to raise your hand, but it feels impossibly heavy, weighted as if by lead. A guttural, choked gasp escapes your frozen throat, the last remnants of your fading strength. Abruptly, you feel strong, rough hands gripping your soaked overcoat, pulling you with immense effort from the icy grip of imminent death. Your body collides with the hard, reassuring wood of the lifeboat, a solid, tangible contact, signifying that you are no longer adrift in the terrifying void. Thick, woolen blankets are immediately draped over you, their earthy scent of warmth and life a profound comfort. You taste the bitter, salty water in your throat, and your body begins to tremble violently, uncontrollably, the tremors of a soul returning to inhabit its physical form once more. From the relative safety of the lifeboat, you witness the first, tentative streaks of dawn, slowly painting the horizon with a pale, ethereal violet. The colossal icebergs that caused this unimaginable tragedy now emerge into view, gleaming with a chilling, lethal beauty under the honest light of the nascent day, like colossal diamonds floating on a sea of shimmering silver.
You reach the side of the rescuing vessel, gazing upwards at the thick ropes dangling down, and you are slowly, carefully hoisted towards the warmth of the deck. The moment your feet touch the solid ground of the Carpathia, a profound sense of rebirth washes over you. You are guided into a warm, inviting saloon, where the comforting aromas of hot coffee, steaming broth, and unshed tears intermingle. You settle into a quiet corner, wrapping your trembling hands around a steaming mug of hot tea, watching the vapor gently caress your face. With each slow, deliberate sip, you feel the warmth gradually returning to your frozen veins. You gaze out of the window, observing the sun as it fully ascends, illuminating an utterly empty ocean. No trace of the Titanic, no vestige of its opulence, no echo of its clamor. Only vast, serene blue waters, concealing in their depths the greatest secrets of the century. In that profound moment, you realize that you carry a piece of that magnificent ship within your memory. You are a survivor, destined to live and recount how a moment of unparalleled human triumph could transform into a submerged memory. You close your eyes, listening to the gentle pulse of this new ship, a different rhythm entirely, one imbued with the sweet taste of survival. A deep, pervasive serenity settles upon you, the profound calm that always follows the fiercest storm. You surrender to an incredibly deep sleep, a slumber unlike any you have ever known, knowing intrinsically that you are not alone, and that your story has now become an eternal part of the sea's enduring legend. You breathe deeply, a long, cleansing inhalation that fills your lungs with warm air, followed by a long exhalation that expels every last vestige of fear and cold. You sink into a state of absolute quietude. Absolute quietude. Absolute quietude.